Bitcoin above $200,000 this year. I think we might even see higher than that. But the question is going to be, how do we get there on the Bitcoin price action? What are the altcoins going to do? I stacked into some key alts today. I'll tell you what those are. We have a guest coming on today as well. But as we get this show started, everybody, make sure you have this pushed out, retweeted out to your friends and family. This is over on @Kellam or @Academy BitLab. Let's make sure we are getting active in the live chat. What were the last 3 coins that you bought? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in comments down below. But also make sure that you're getting active in all of this content so we know that you're paying attention. I hope that you're all doing very well. I'm going to make sure that this is retweeted over on Discover Crypto as well. We're going to have this absolutely slammed into the room today. We're going to have so much content that we've got to cover and a wonderful guest. So everybody get active. Make sure you are stacking in Bitcoin, altcoins, rip seasons here. We're getting a little bit of a dip. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let's make sure that we can make sure that we stay on the right side of the trend. Let's go. Is Bitcoin going to go over $200,000? If so, is it going to happen in 2025? In fact, I think it's going to go far beyond $200,000. The question is going to be, again, is it happening this year? Is it things getting a little bit more stretched out? Because as we look at these charts and this specific post that I did back here on May 8th, and I did one about a month before this as well, looking here at the short-term holder cost basis, once this is reclaimed, I discussed here that this is a massive pump signal, as we've seen in the previous times that this has done this here. Now, the question beyond this is everybody's talking about how far gold is absolutely, quote unquote, running. Isn't that the safer bet? Well, the question is it? Because we just saw scientists turn lead into gold. We know that diamonds are made in the labs now, but what we're also aware of is that Bitcoin is that scarce asset. So let's look at what gold looks like. If you DCA'd into gold and you DCA'd into Bitcoin, started in 2018, this is what it looked like right here. DCAing into gold, DCAing into Bitcoin since 2018. This orange line here is Bitcoin. Oh my God, you're below, but look at this massive growth you see here. This is just DCAing on a schedule every week. As you can see here, look at this, man, this absolute separation of had you been DCAing into Bitcoin versus gold. I mean, Bitcoin overwhelmingly outpaced what you saw in the growth of gold. And this just continues on as we watch here to see what it looks like coming in to 2023. Looking at if you were to DCA into gold versus Bitcoin, look at how much further your investments would have gone and expanded beyond if you just invested in gold because it's the best asset. Is it? Look at this separation. Now, continuing on, what else we got? Considering buying a home back here in 1985 versus 2022, looking at the average median household income, $23,600. It only cost $83,200 to buy a home. That's about a 3.5x your annual income to buy a home. Today, when people ask, is it not different? When I was a kid, screw all that nonsense because you can see today, millennials, the average family home is $468,000. And the average family income is only $74,580. That's a 6.3x in order to achieve buying a home now. Times are different, but luckily assets are different. Bitcoin's here. It is the opportunity. It's a gateway to a different future. Currently, if you stay on the same track with US dollars and even gold, you are going to get eaten alive as we see inflation and just the never-ending money printing that only goes exponential from what we've seen historically to where we're going, especially with the amount of $1 trillion plus just to service the interest on the debt that we have in the US. The buying pressure that we're seeing in the housing market, the lack of the ability to spend money like you used to back in the 80s, even to where we're at today. Bitcoin is that opportunity. We do have a guest coming on here in just a little bit. So shout out to everybody that is tuned in. We got some charts we're going to go over. We got some TA we're going to go over. And then the last third of the show, we've got a great guest we're going to be pulling on here in just a little bit. I did DCA a little bit this morning. And it was a little bit more than just a DCA. It was a bit aggressive. I stacked into some more Ondo. I stacked into some more Chainlink over the last 2 days, but also Tau, got that situated, and Morpho. So we got things situated in the charts. Things are looking good. I have that shared in the Discover Investments Group Discord. That link is pinned in the top of the live chat. So make sure you're getting involved in there. There's a great free section in there that all you need to do is sign up for the L Bank link, which is right down below in the description, right below this video. And that would be right here. When you see the description below, there is a more button. You see everything. Trade with us on L Bank. That's the link you want to use right there. And also make sure you're protecting your crypto, protecting your future. Head over to getarculus.com. Use code BitLab, BITLAB 20, BitLab 20 for 20% off. Getarculus.com. Protect your crypto, protect your future. Now let's go ahead and get through some of these things that we want to look at today, because we're seeing the market make some moves. I don't know why the internet's not working as we want. Let's go ahead and get in there. Come on, baby. I believe in you, internet. Come on. There we go. There we go. So we're sitting at basically $3.3 trillion market cap. Bitcoin dominates at 62%, meaning 3.3 trillion, 62% of this entire market valuation of everything in crypto. 62% of that is Bitcoin right now. The question and all eyes have been on, are we going to see that larger breakdown on Bitcoin dominance? We have it marked out here. Let's look at it on the 12-hour chart. This is a key zone, and we're bouncing on it right now, which is why you're not seeing alts run. But we're at a critical juncture. Are we about to get Altseason, or is this about to have Bitcoin run away again? We don't know yet. All we can do is look at the variety of ingredients of data points and see what direction is pointing to the highest probability. As it stands right now, I do think we're going to get an alt season, but as it stands, it doesn't surprise me that we're getting a bounce here on a key level of this horizontal resistance, now support for Bitcoin dominance. That's what we're looking at here. And also this level of support that goes back to January of 2024. We're on this critical juncture. I'd really hope to see the price action on Bitcoin and dominance on Bitcoin break this at some point, come up, reject at this level, confirming the breakdown, and start this trajectory to the downside. This is when you're going to see altcoins melting and absolutely exploding to the upside. When you see dominance break this key zone right here from about 62.2% down to really all the way, this is where I really like to see the dominance break 60%. But once we break down, get a rejection, this is when I start getting a lot more confident that we're going to see massive upside for the alts. But beyond this, remember, just a reminder, times are different from 1985 to now. So if you have parents talking to you about, oh, when I was a kid, I did this and I bought a house by this age, bullshit. It's all different now, okay? Back in 1985, baby boomers, median household income was $23,600. It only took about a 3.5x to basically buy a house. The housing prices were about 3.5 times their income, whereas today, and this is in 2022, this is even roughly where we're at now, $460,000 to $500,000 per house. It takes about over a 6x in order to form to afford a house. So we want to keep that in mind when we're looking at all this price action and what's going on here. Now, are we seeing this Wyckoff accumulation? Are we in this final phase? I do think it's feeling like it. We got the breakdown. 1, 2, 3. Look at this. 1, 2, 3. This being the spring. We got the spring here showing this sort of this over basically trapping bears in this bear trap, only to spring launch out of this. We got the spring launch out of this into this SOS period. And this is this consolidation above this previous range high, now getting that next layer of expansion into phase E. Are we getting this? I do believe we are. Are we going to be above $110,000 at the Bitcoin conference in about a week and a half? We'll have to see, but we're starting to see so much buying pressure and just positive sentiment in the market. And I got some charts for you on that here in just a few minutes, but I want to get through this because I want to look at TA with you, all of you. And Pre-Rich says, Ondo will crush. How many of you have been stacking into Ondo? I know I have. I got myself back up to where I want to be currently at Ondo. Of course, I could never have enough Ondo. But we also saw that major news yesterday with JP Morgan, Ondo, Chainlink, and everything that they're doing there. So that is what a massive announcement that is. And I am working to get one of the main people from Ondo here on this channel, as well as one of the main people from Chainlink. So stay tuned for that. Now we're also seeing other things. Not only is it positive bullish news, excuse me. Not only is it positive bullish news happening on a daily basis, will Bitcoin go over $200,000? I think we need to stop asking ourselves that question. The fact of the matter is, the landscape for Bitcoin and the crypto ecosystem is so overwhelmingly bullish and getting more bullish by the day. We should be celebrating anytime we're seeing any little dips in price action. When we're looking over here at the Bitcoin chart and we see this massive rebound here on this test into promotion, this expansion to the upside. Currently, as we're sitting right now, I'm not worried if we get a dip down to 100,000 or if we actually fall below that and retest this previous range high at about 97,000, where there's a lot of liquidity as well. Kevin Svensson pointed that out. But if we get this, I'm going to celebrate it because we're getting overwhelming bullishness with the setup of price action looking like further bullish expansion to the upside, with the nonstop onslaught of positive news in crypto and Bitcoin integrations and money flow and institution stacking and governments and corporations and sovereign wealth funds. Guys, the time is now, right now. If you're not buying, if you're still sitting on the sideline, I don't know what data you're looking at, or if you just like your future to be more difficult by the day by not allocating. That's the question here. But we all have to make our own decisions, and I get it. But MasterCard has announced that it's going to enable crypto payments with 150 million merchants. Guys, Bitcoin Lightning is next. This is just that immediate argument that everybody's had, which is already wrong. But what can you spend your Bitcoin on? What are you spending your Apple? Are you out at the shopping mall spending your Apple stock on something? Are you spending your Apple stock on coffee? It's the stupidest argument I've seen in the crypto and just traditional finance ecosystem, where people say, but what can you spend it on? What are you spending your house valuation on? Are you buying a car with your house? Are you out there, using your house to pay for your daughter's wedding? Are you using your house to buy dinners and pay for vacations? No. Investments are different. But the funny thing is, with Bitcoin and crypto, you can do all those things. In fact, there's already hundreds of thousands into the millions of places that you can utilize your crypto to make purchases. There's different mechanisms. There's different cards that auto convert crypto to dollars if you want, or also just pay specifically with crypto to those different vendors or different places. So the time is now. The plumbing of the world is getting completely ripped out right now and reinstalled with the next gen, with the future-proof infrastructure, and that is blockchain. So that's what we need to look forward to. Now, continuing on, I want to get to this TA, baby, because we got a guest popping in here in just a second. Avenir, a Hong Kong-based investment giant, reports $681 million in Bitcoin exposure through BlackRock's IBIT ETF, the Bitcoin spot ETF from BlackRock. We're seeing global stacking now in both Bitcoin self-custody as well as Bitcoin financial products like IBIT, like MicroStrategy, like Similar Scientific, like GameStop, like MetaPlanet. The list is getting longer and longer and deeper and what we're seeing. Massive amount of institutional adoption is coming. And then we wonder, can we really go to $200,000? Well, I think, isn't that kind of a low number? Look at this. Standard Chartered thinks 2025 target, $200,000. Wainwright, $225,000. Cena, 21st Capital, shows $135,000 to $285,000. BlackRock, Larry Fink, suggested $700,000. Fundstrat, Tom Lee, $250,000. Anthony Pompliano, $250,000. Chamath Palihapitiya with the All In podcast, also very in tight with David Sachs, crypto and AI czar, suggesting about $500,000 target. Van Eck, $180,000. 10X Research, $122,000. GFOX survey, $150,000. So they're not all above 200, but I think this falls in line with that target that many of us have had that have been looking at these markets for years. And that is when you zoom out on this and you sort of extrapolate to the upside where price can go. I think 164,000 would be my minimum bull market peak. And I think it could likely be somewhere in this 200 to 250 range. Now, if things go ballistic, because we're seeing Apple stack and we're seeing Google stack and we're seeing the US get the Bitcoin strategy, Bitcoin reserve allocations set into law, and we're doing the million Bitcoin purchases, but we're also seeing MicroStrategy getting $84 billion purchases of Bitcoin, but we're also seeing 21 Capital, I think it's called, with Cantor Fitzgerald and Jack Mallers racing to catch up to MicroStrategy, and in their estimation, they think they're going to acquire more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy, and people are thinking, can we get to 200? I say, who cares? What happens in 2025 if price stays at $100,000 and doesn't move at all the way through 2025? If you really understand where Bitcoin's going, that should actually excite you, because that is going to be the strongest string-loaded bull slingshot to the upside ever going into 2026 and beyond. If price stays in a range between 90,000 and even 130, I think we're going to see such a slingshot to the upside. So let's actually celebrate if it doesn't go to 200. Now, in fact, I think this market's going to be too reactive to the lack of supply and the exponential increase in demand that's coming in on a daily basis to actually to maintain price below 150,000 once this thing gets ripping. So does that mean it can never go there again? No, I think it's safe. If it goes to $280,000, I think we're going to get a pretty big correction. If 2025 Bitcoin price goes to $280,000 between now, it's May, and the end of the year, I think we're going to get a pretty damn big correction. However, if we stair step to the upside and say it's December and we're 177,000, I think we're still going to get corrections. That's how markets work. You have upside, you have downside. The question is going to be, if we rip explosively this year above $200,000, I think we're going to get a pretty big pullback, probably $100,000 crash back down to 100,000, maybe even down to 75K. But it all depends on the speed at which we go up and the buying schedules that get the domino effect of the buying schedules that come in from big institutions, from corporations, from Bitcoin strategies, as we've seen with MicroStrategy and MetaPlanet and Similar Scientific and GameStop, and then governments, what their buying strategies are going to be. Because we're seeing the overwhelming bullishness come in such a real way with Coinbase getting listed on S&P 500. Do you guys realize Coinbase being listed on S&P 500 is so overwhelmingly bullish for the entire Bitcoin and crypto ecosystem? Because by nature of getting listed on the S&P 500, roughly they're estimating a little over $15 billion in buying is going to happen, because there's going to be different indexes and asset managers and index funds and retirement accounts that, based on their charter, are going to have to buy some exposure to coin. And Coin is a crypto company. Not only do they hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, but they also are, intrinsically entwined with what's happening with crypto and regulation and basically what's happening in this entire ecosystem. So we are in for a doozy. So let's make sure that we're stacking in, make sure we don't get chopped out because we are worried. Now, looking at this is also Bitwise. Matt Hogan also says right here, 200,000 by 2025. So what are we looking at? Let's look at some data. Let's look at some charts. So we got our guest coming in here in about 5 or 8 minutes, but this is where we're at. This is the Bitcoin value map. Looking at the Bitcoin value map, what do we see? Price action right here is sitting right below this yellow line, the overvalued line. But we've crossed this in every bull market. We've crossed this in every bull market, as you've seen. In fact, we hit our head up against this and rejected several times before actually breaking out and coming back, finding it as support to launch. So look at this. Rejected it, came back down. Okay, now look at this. Broke right through it, found support on it, and then launched. We've already rejected on it once, came back down. Now we're kind of straddling right on it. If we zoom in on this chart, we can see, look at this. We're sitting right on that neck, on the way to the slingshot to the upside. And we've seen that once we've really cleared this in previous cycles, massive upside has happened. Massive upside has happened. Okay, we're sitting right on the cusp of this again. Now, when we look at where we're at in the cycle, the question is going to be, and we've talked about this, does this, where we're at, we're shading out where we're at and time-wise based on when the last Bitcoin halving was and where we're at right here. We had a pretty big sell-off here, but we did ultimately push back up and break past to new all-time highs. Massive move to the upside came after where we're at right now on the cycle. What did we see in 2016 into 2017? The biggest part of the cycle came after this. What did we see in 2013 into 2014? The biggest part of the cycle came after where we are right now, all the while seeing a never-ending flood of bullish infrastructure, of bullish talking points, worlds, governments, corporations, institutions, the awareness going exponential. Guys, we are in for an overwhelmingly bullish price action to come at some point this year. Now, again, whether they frustrate the living shit out of people over the next 3 months and it doesn't really move, to me, that would be overwhelmingly bullish. But I don't think the price can not react to the buying pressures that are coming in. The question is, can you make sure that you don't react to your emotionality of being impatient? Now, when we look at this on the 24-hour chart, we have the liquidity is dominant to the upside, meaning the magnet for price action is to the upside to clear this liquidity. Now, to come up and clear this does not mean this has to continue going to the upside. Be aware that there's been a lot of people shorting, which is why all of this is above us. Why would the liquidity in the liquidation zones be above us if people are shorting? Because as you short and people add to their short positions, this is showing where the different price zones that there's going to be areas that trades have to be closed, because if they're betting short then and price goes up, then there's certain zones that if the price reaches those areas, they either have to close their shorts, which means buy, or they are forced to close their shorts in a liquidation, which means they are forced buys, which could essentially be a short squeeze. I mean, you come up, boom, and you squeeze the shorts. And what happens if you squeeze all the shorts? Then you get probably a little pop in price action. It comes up above this because you get all those forced closures that happen like that. And it's not small amounts. You see this 8 million, 24 million, 31 million, 26 million, 13 million, 80, all the way up into here. Look at this, into the 30s, 40s, 60s million dollars. And this, when you aggregate all this value together, that's a lot of money that comes in to be forced buys. Also, considering what sort of sentiment shift would happen but we just need to make sure that we're paying attention to everything going on in this region, that just because it comes up here, we get a quick little pop, it doesn't mean it's going to be a continuation. They've been tricking us. They've been tricking us. They've been tricking us. So stay frosty, everybody. And then beyond that, we see, look at this. The $200,000 metric comes back again. 2 key levels to watch for Bitcoin's top. That doesn't mean it has to stop here, but the delta top is at $216,000. 2 different moving average years predicting the price forecast tool. As you see, right where it's at right now, the top would be 216, or the terminal price 215,000. But what do you notice? When the price action starts to melt to the upside, one of these, the terminal price, stays relatively flat, but it does still move to the upside, and the price does go above the terminal price. Now, it does not go above the delta top in either of the last 2 cycles. You see this? But as price melts to the upside, so too does this moving average. So if we were to go straight up right now because just massive buying pressure came in and the price just exploded up, this would suggest, as it stands right now, roughly about $215,000 will be the top. But this is before we're seeing a melt up in price action. So this is suggesting, when I look at my price action chart and I say, okay, this 200 to 240,000, this would be if price went straight there, not take many months over this year to melt to the upside. Go up to 110,000 and then break back down, and then push up to 120. Doing something like this, pushing up, break back down, push up, find support, moving up, going sideways for a while, moving up, coming down. Oh my God, it's. As that happens, those moving averages melt to the upside as well. So this potential terminal and delta top pricing, as we just outlined, where did that go? This would more likely than not, be moving to the upside as well. Because what have you not seen on the terminal pricing? This has not moved to the downside at this point yet. So this is suggesting kind of a minimum target of $215,000. So that would be exciting, but we can't be fixed and just only focused on that number. Let's let this market mature and see how price action flows, because we're also seeing with the altcoins, the total market cap on the high time frame weekly chart. Look at what happened the last time the weekly MACD crossed after we got a green dot. So what we're seeing here, green dot, this is the momentum waves. And we also see the MACD crossing right here. It's almost similar to the momentum waves as you're seeing here on this indicator. But as this crosses, let's go back here. What happened here? Boom. Took a little bit of a time to finish accumulating, and then boom, launch. What happened here? A little bit of time right at the zone, and then boom, to the upside. So we're seeing multiple metrics across different parts of the crypto ecosystem showing the momentum and the sentiment has fully catched its breath, and it's like, let's go on a race to the top. But the question is, are you going to be here? Are you going to be able to hang on to the top along the way, because these are weekly charts. So even with this suggesting we're about to get a massive upside, it doesn't mean we couldn't have, especially in some of your favorite altcoins, you couldn't have a 7%, 12%, 25% drop before that happens. Make sure you are looking for buy opportunities. I'm not looking at sell opportunities right now, except for my plans looking out 3 months, 6 months, and beyond. Because right now we're looking for buy opportunities. That's what we are doing. Let me just make sure our guest is coming on. You ready? There he is. So as we're seeing this setup with the price action, with these indexes, with the MACD, with the momentum on not only Bitcoin showing signs of much higher over the course of this year, also looking at the altcoin market showing these signs of much higher over the course of this year, do not lose sight of the near term, because that's where all your emotional triggers are going to be that are going to screw up what your opportunity is going to be, because you couldn't look a little bit further out. And with that being said, we've got some incredible metrics going on, and there's a lot of news going on. But more importantly, more than any of that, I'd love to just also take a chance to say thank each and every one of you for being here on the BitLab Academy stream, here on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, if you're tuned in. We've got one of my favorite guests coming on to the show right now, and I cannot wait to hang out with him in Las Vegas. And that's our boy, Chris Klein. How you doing, good sir?
Hey, buddy, how are you? It's good to see you, Kelly. I'm actually in Arizona.
Oh, right on.
We'll be in Vegas in a few weeks, though, together, right?
We're going to be in Vegas in a couple weeks. We're going to be talking. We're going to be chopping it up, meeting all kinds. I'm going to be your pimp out there. I'm going to introduce you to so many people. But we got to talk about this market, man. We just left April 7th, which that was about the date that Jim Cramer, warned everybody we're about to have the whole market meltdown, which marked the bottom. We saw a massive explosion to the upside. It feels like right now a lot of the hedge funds and other large sort of institutional players are kind of getting caught offside right now in this market. They're really pricing in more recessionary sort of behavior. We see charts like this one right here. Let me pull it up 1 second. Where's my camera? Right here. Looking at this chart right here showing the put call ratio just plunged to the lowest level since December 2010. Bulls are back in full force, and we're seeing people trade a lot, most of the time, the wrong direction on this, because they were too deflationary. So I want to get into crypto in a moment. But what's your thoughts? Because you've had many years of experience in the financial markets, as well as being, a co-founder over there at Bitcoin IRA. How do you address investors right now when they're feeling scared, but we're seeing the biggest opportunity on the horizon, but also it feels like you still need to be a little bit risk hedged?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it feels like a tale of two cities right now, right? Is it depends on which city you live in, and they could be 5 minutes from each other or 50 miles from each other, right? There's just a lot of folks that there's this sentiment, and I think some of it also. I hate to say this because I don't like to get into politics, but I do think a lot of it is driven by a political feelings and sentiments. There is this world out there. I watch. I have friends on my Instagram and on my LinkedIn and my Facebook that are on one side of the aisle and the other side of the aisle. And what I'm noticing from one side of the aisle is doom and gloom, just constant doom and gloom. Every move that is made by this administration is bad. And the truth of the matter is, when we saw each other, what was it, late March when I came and we saw each other in person, there's a second half to this story. First is tariffs, which was a kind of a shock effect that hit everybody. And now we're starting to see real trade deals come out, like real ones. The UK is a big one. China's a big one. What's going to happen is you're going to see a whole bunch more trade deals come from that. That just breaks down the barrier. And now you're going to get trade deal after trade deal after trade deal. Trump's visit to the Middle East was very successful, bringing back $1.2 trillion of investment into our country. I also saw, I can't remember, there's a certain manufacturer that declared a $3 billion investment into manufacturing in the U.S. borders yesterday. So these are shifts. These are macroeconomic shifts in the way that our country works, the way that growth is built, the way that money is made as a country. We've been doing it the same way since you and I were kids, and now we're doing it differently. And so, people, I know this because I run teams. People hate change. One of my favorite jokes is if I try to do something new with my sales team or my revenue team or my marketing team, it's like when I step on a stick and all the cows in pasture, I'll go, what? Because it's a change, right? That's what we're seeing right now. But there's such bullish sentiments for our space, and let's not forget, Kelly, Bitcoin loves controversy. We're born from it. We're born from controversy. We revived ourselves from the 2020 chaos better than anybody else. Remember where we were in 2020, $5,000, $6,000 of Bitcoin at that low, and where we're at today. This is our bread and butter. We love this space. So when I speak to investors nowadays, and I talk to still a lot of clients, is most folks are they're looking at opportunity zones. I saw this chart on your Twitter earlier, by the way, and I absolutely love what you did here. The test, by the way, that test was right when I flew home from seeing you last. I couldn't sleep because I was coming from the East Coast. I slept on the plane, and I was sitting there, and I had like a bonus or something sitting in my account over at Bitcoin IRA, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I don't buy usually in these situations. I've got a pretty solid stack already, but I'm just going to, and it has just crushed. It has, buying on that day around April 7th at that low 76, and all other coins too. I did some HBAR, I did some Solana, I did some Link, I did some XRP. Just insane what has happened since that day. So I love that chart. And we are getting into this zone. Like, what happens next? Is this a giant springboard towards epic levels? I think the one thing I haven't seen yet is the shoe shine. So I haven't seen the indicator. I don't have friends calling me or text. Like, sometimes you get text messages from people you don't even remember, and they're like, "Is it time to buy Bitcoin?" That's usually where I'm like, "Okay," but I haven't had that yet. But I did go. I had to go get gas in my car this morning. And I wore my Bitcoin IRA polo, and I had 3 people stop me at the gas station. They're like, "Oh, Bitcoin, eh?" And I was like, "Yeah, have you got some?" "Oh, no, it's too expensive." And I think that's a big misnomer people don't understand. You don't have to buy one Bitcoin. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's just crazy that people still haven't figured out that you can buy 0.00001 Bitcoin and at least get off zero and have a little exposure. So it's an interesting time to be alive. I prefer to live in the city that is optimistic and has a very positive sentiment about where we're headed. The other half of this conversation has not happened yet, which is taxes. I think that we're going to see a tax bill get through Congress that is going to be beneficial to every American, whether you're rich, poor, or otherwise. It's going to be beneficial for everybody. And we haven't seen something like that since maybe even before Reagan, honestly. So very exciting.
I couldn't be more excited. I mean, just the landscape in general, just not even looking at price action, just the landscape of what we're seeing discussed and how it's discussed on world stages, corporate boardrooms. Every financial. Even Russia just put out a notice to about their financial markets to their people, and it identified Bitcoin was the best performing financial asset, which is kind of a gear shift as well. Globally, we're seeing this. I just highlighted a story in Hong Kong where I can't remember the name of the company, but there's a company that stacked a little over $600 million worth of Bitcoin exposure through BlackRock's ETF. But one of the things that still has been a kind of persistent frustration this cycle is our girl. It's Ethereum, man. It's Ethereum. What's going on with Ethereum? But then also, but then beyond Ethereum, we're also seeing major players stacking Ethereum. We're seeing Ondo, we're seeing BlackRock, we're seeing the Biddle Fund, we're seeing, how much DeFi is in Ethereum. And it feels like it lost narrative for a little bit, but it also, is it dead? And then what's this whole idea of Ethereum staking? Because I've heard about ETH staking potentially getting added to some of these ETFs, but also I know that you discussed that there might be something that you guys are working on at Bitcoin IRA that might be also utilizing and making ETH staking available. Talk your thoughts on Ethereum, this market cycle, and also the staking mechanisms.
Yeah, it got hard to be a ETH believer there for a while, right? We got to some pretty low numbers. But I will tell you, I think, and I said this, I think on your channel a couple months ago and on Discover, was we are facing, this is the booster rocket. If staking is the booster rocket to what's happening with Ethereum and other coins. And like you said, big institutions are saying, hey, I'm seeing something here. There's not just the ability to have upside potential in the price, but there's also a yield potential that's at play here. And I'm pretty excited to announce that when I see you in Vegas, our staking program will be live, and it's got several coins, one of them being Ethereum. You will have the ability at Bitcoin IRA. I don't want to misspeak here, so I'm looking at my notes. You'll be able to earn up to 7% interest or yield on. Let's see. There's Polkadot, Solana, Avalanche, Ethereum, which we're talking about right now, and Cardano are all going to be live by the end of this month. So this is, and other institutions are seeing this as saying, okay, it's kind of like the MicroStrategy yield MSTY, right? Is okay. I can, and I see all these tweets all the time. Oh, my mortgage payment is this, so I went and took a second mortgage and bought a bunch of MicroStrategy or MSTY, right? You see it too. You're on Twitter as much as I am, and it's like, well, there are people that are now, I saw today, shorting MicroStrategy, long Bitcoin. And that same thing is going to happen now that Ethereum ETFs are out there. There's an ability to play with paper assets and physical or real, tangible, I suppose, assets, and play this hedge and this arbitrage between them. But the yield, this is the exciting part. This is part of what I think is driving this resurgence of Ethereum over the last couple of weeks, is not just, obviously all markets are looking good, right? Even, I mean, I'm a holder of a lot of things. I've been very thrilled for the last couple of weeks, but Ethereum is outperforming, and I think it's because there's about to be some big time revitalization of the staking component to Ethereum that is going to drive a lot of attention towards it. And this is not going to be the staking and mechanism that got us all in a bunch of trouble in 2022 and 2023. This is a new founded one. The program we built, you never lose control of the asset. It sits inside of your IRA. There's no long line to get out or to get in. It's kind of like staking 2.0. Honestly, is what I've seen our engineers be able to build with our partners.
Well, you know, one of the things I wanted to highlight as well, just so everybody knows, we are partners with Bitcoin IRA, and I'm proud to say that. I'm happy to be working alongside other utilities, services that are meaningful in this space that also mark the vast different spot that we're in as an ecosystem, that you can, it's not just, oh, let's go degen here, let's go do the lottery in crypto. No, IRA, retirement accounts that you can tax advantaged, go in there and trade and not have to, you know, I mean, I saw in 2017 into 2018, so many people that made so much money in a portfolio screenshot, but then when the markets dropped because they traded between assets, they didn't have the capital necessary to go and pay the taxes on that, on all that, the investment in, you know, the, what do you call it? Not the income. What's the word I'm looking for? You know the word.
Capital gains?
Capital gains. There you go. They didn't have the capital available to pay all the capital gains taxes, because that's your income. That's your income over the year. If you're trading in and out of stuff and, oh, I didn't take it out of crypto. Well, if you sold it from Arrow to Morpho and Morpho to Bitcoin, those are all change in assets. So if you're making money, if you appreciate it in value when you traded to this other thing, and then that new thing lost all the value, you still have to pay the capital gains on that thing. So I think it's interesting right now. Everybody always waits to the last minute, and then they wonder why they're in a bad position. Whereas now we have retirement accounts, bitcoinira.com, to go and do all your trading. And everybody, I just want to highlight real quick, because I think it's so awesome we have this available now. Things like bitcoinira.com, where you can roll your 401ks into Bitcoin IRA. You can, whether it's a portion or all. You can also come over here and trade 75 different cryptocurrencies. And as you're appreciating in value, that doesn't get attributed to your income that year because it's in your retirement account. Would that be an accurate thing to say?
Absolutely. And a little tease for your audience, because I know most of your followers also are fans of Discover Crypto. And you and I and TJ are all friends now. I'm not just a sponsor, but I feel like I'm part of the family.
Oh, for
You
sure.
guys are amazing. So tomorrow I'm cooking up, I think you guys call it alpha, like hot alpha is what you guys like to say. I feel like a Gen Z all of a sudden. I feel so proud. My daughter would be so proud of me. I'm cooking up some hot alpha for tomorrow. I'm going to be on the Discover show. I'm going to actually unpack one of our whale clients. He's about $50 million in a Roth IRA. But I'm going to unpack his transactions over the last 5 or 6 years. And I'm going to show the audience that it's not just, it's two pieces. A, it's the tax bill, right? So you're going to, every time you swap, trade, do whatever, you got the tax bill. B is the purchasing power. So if you sell $1 million at profit and you have a 15% tax bill, now you don't have $1 million to buy back in. You have $85,000 or $850,000 to buy back in. Purchasing power has a big effect, because if, let's just say you were going from Bitcoin to SUI. So you had $1 million and you thought in the IRA you could buy $1 million worth of SUI. Now you can only buy $850,000 worth of SUI. So I'm going to put some slides together and some charts just to kind of show this difference A long time ago, I called this the $50 million mistake back in March of 2016. And I took two guys and I gave them these weren't real clients at that time. It was just showing if you could buy, sell, give them kind of Captain Hindsight. They can see everything. These are real clients that I'm going to unpack tomorrow to kind of show what kind of gains you have, but just using the tool the American government gives us is a tax sheltered, tax umbrellaed ability to either have tax-free or tax-deferred savings and avoid that capital gains hit. Because when you're talking some of the numbers that crypto guys are talking, I mean, I'm a big believer and a big holder of XRP right now. And if this thing, I mean, I've got friends and family that are like, it's going to go to $10. I have somebody that says it's going to go to $10,000. Honestly, my exit point is probably somewhere around $7.50 is where I'm thinking as far as an exit point for a piece of it. But still, the fact that I put it in a retirement account, I don't have to do this whole calculation of, okay, well then what's that mean for cap gains taxes? What's that mean for when I get back into the next market piece that I want to do? Whether it's crypto or real estate or LLCs or private equity or precious metals, any of those things, I don't have to worry about that extra mathematical piece. And I'm going to unpack that for the audience tomorrow.
Well, on that note, two things. One, is Bitcoin IRA just crypto assets, or are there other assets, potentially even crypto proxies like MicroStrategy and other things? Is it just crypto? And then the other thing is, why is it that you think people wait all the way? They say, well, you have how much time to allot an X amount per year to IRA. They wait all the way to the end of the year or right before tax day to do it. And my argument is, hey, man, now is the time to do it. If we're about to see a lot of appreciation and tax and in crypto prices, and you're going to be trading it all along the year, if you already have them involved in your Bitcoin IRA account, then you're literally saving yourself the money of the destruction of your purchasing power over time, and also not incurring this big tax bill where at the end of the year you can only allocate your $5,500 or $6,000. Like, roll that over now. So those two questions, and then we're going to be wrapping here.
So first, we are more than crypto. So one of the things, and I'm proud of us for our success, is that we started as just a platform, and we actually were able to become a regulated trust company over the years from the state of Nevada FID, self-directed IRAs. And so you have real estate, LLCs, farm equipment, land, oil. You have all these options. Plus you have the traditionals, the stocks, bonds, the mutual funds, the ETFs that are out there. All of these things are available under the same umbrella. So it's not like you have to come over here and just do crypto. And a lot of folks, after they have some great wins, they move over into different types of asset classes. So I think that unpacks that question for you. The second question about, can you repeat for me? I'm sorry. Like, I got so excited about the first question. What was the second one?
Is there a good reason to not wait to do this until the end
Oh,
of the
absolutely.
year when people
Yeah.
start thinking about
No,
taxes?
it's silly. It's kind of like my daughter waits till the night before to do her homework. I'm like, why? You knew the homework that was due or the project, and we all probably have kids like that wait till the last minute to do something. And Americans, as human beings, that's who we are. But if you believe, if you're a true believer, and if you're on this channel, you're probably a believer like me. We are about to have a record-setting year. I think that when we get to Christmas, it's going to be a turducken for everybody for Christmas, a giant Christmas tree. Everybody's going to be thrilled. I'm going to have Bitcoin ornaments and ETH ornaments and SUI ornaments all over my Christmas. This is the year that I've been waiting for, and it's about to unpack itself. If that's what you think is going to happen, don't wait till next April to put your money in your IRA and buy Bitcoin at all-time highs. Do it now. You don't have, there's no day you have to do it. You just have to do it by the deadline. So you could do it today, you could do it yesterday, you could do it tomorrow. It's a great time for you to just say, hey, I've got the capital. I need to put this aside. I'm going to get a tax advantage for it. I'm going to get tax reduction for it. And do it now before it's too late, because this market is going to do things that, I think it's going to make 21 look like nothing. I think it's going to make 17, 18 look like nothing. I think this is going to be the time we've got every moving piece put together. You got BlackRock talking about $500,000 million Bitcoin in the next 2 years. You've got, who cares what Jim Cramer says? Whatever he says, do the opposite, right? That's what most people say. This is the time, and get in earlier. And I just wanted to put this out here for the BitLab audience. I went to my board of directors and I said, hey, I really love this audience. They're so welcoming. We do great work with them. They welcome me back. I get to talk and unpack all kinds of alpha with them. So if you remember, if you were a listener back then, we had a tax day savings program. We were given up to $1,000 of rewards if you contributed to an account by April 15th. Well, I got the board to agree to extend that savings for, and you see here by tax day, you guys now have another 30 days. So you guys have from till June 15th just for BitLab Discover and blockchain basement folks. So if you call into my guys and my gals, or you log in, when you open an account, make sure you tell them that you came from one of these channels, and we are exclusively offering this special for your guys' audience because of how awesome and welcoming and warm you guys are.
And just so you guys all know, I really appreciate that, Chris, and also the Bitcoin IRA team. You guys can find more information there at bitcoinira.com. And the phone number is right here. I'll zoom in on it so you can all see it bright and clear. Just let them know. Hey, BitLab sent you, Discover sent you, Blockchain Basement sent you. We're all in the same family here. Just let them know that we sent you, and they'll take care of you. And remember, it's not just the $1,000 that you're getting and that benefit, this wonderful benefit that they're offering to our audience. In my opinion, this is not financial advice, but if you are trading and investing in a tax sheltered account, you essentially just gave yourself a 20 to 35% pay raise in a lot of cases in terms of what your assets are that are in there, because you're removing that tax burden on your income throughout the year. And let's be honest, I'm holding this stuff long term. So this is, it's such a nice spot that we have these types of tools. The financialization of Bitcoin is here. Governments are stacking, corporations are stacking, the world is, the doors are opening, the flood is coming. So make sure that you're getting yourself in position to protect your assets before you have so many of them that you just get eaten alive by taxes, and also getting eaten alive by not having safe custody in smart places like bitcoinira.com.
Kelly, thank you so much for having me, buddy. And I will see you in 2 weeks in Vegas, right?
I will see you there. Yeah, I'll be flying out there about, I think, the 24th or 25th. But I will be there. I'll be there for the week into that Friday or Saturday. But I can't wait to see you there. And I can't wait to have you back on the channel, and also just hang out with you in person and go meet everybody. Big love to you, brother.
My PIMP. I love you, man. You're the best. I'll see you soon.
Awesome, brother. I'll see you soon, brother. Adios. Now, everybody, what a great fellow that is. And again, bitcoinira.com, it's definitely worth checking out. If you have an existing retirement account, you can roll over your 401k, you can roll over your other stuff directly into this account and get your retirement savings. Even if you're not using new money, you can roll that stuff over and then trade it into Bitcoin and other assets that they have available here. Now, coming back over to the charts before we go, I just want to highlight Ethereum is at a critical juncture. We've talked about it. We're right in this green box that we've had outlined here. We're sitting on the edge of just absolute melt your face to the upside, or a little bit more of a correction to the downside first. But I do think ETH is going to perform well. I think that's, in my opinion, there's probably been some manipulation on the price action. The biggest players in the world are stacking into this. Nobody's paying attention to this. They're all looking at all the other stuff, even me. And yet the price action explodes out of this right up into this green box zone. Once we're able to clear this 2,600, really into the 2,800 zone, this level right here, 2,852, I do think this is when we're going to really start seeing price action move to the upside. Now, it doesn't mean this has to happen now. This could even travel sideways for a little bit, but we're at the doorstep for massive gains coming to ETH. We also see it on the ETH to Bitcoin chart showing this breakout of a 987-day downtrend from here, boom, all the way down here. And we're starting to get the breakout. It doesn't mean the downtrend's over, because we got a lot of work to do. But even if we were to push up only to this zone right here, this is still a large gain up into, that's a 50% gain against Bitcoin. This is when it's going to start to get interesting. Once it pushes up here, what happens here if we're going to start to get that melting to the upside? Because again, all eyes are on the Bitcoin dominance right now, seeing what's going on here. Just to re-emphasize what I said earlier, I did add some to my Ondo position. I did add some to my Link position. I did also add to my Morpho position. So guys, I think we're about to see some really exciting things in these charts. Let's stick with it, everybody. This it's so exciting. Hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. I'm going to shoot you over to the blockchain basement now. If you're watching here on X, if you're watching over on Rumble, it should redirect you. If you're watching on, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, it should redirect you. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Make sure it says subscribed right here. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're watching on Rumble, make sure you hit that like button, hit that that follow button right here. Get active in the live chat. But with that, everybody, that's all I got for you today. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. I got a big big guest that I'm interviewing this afternoon. And I think we're going to have some really cool things on tomorrow's show. So with that being said, hit your like button on the way out. I hope you have a wonderful day. Adios, everybody.